Thanks to everybody for coming out for this event. I think there are a couple of dimensions that I think I'd highlight on the domestic context for Hamas's decision basically to plan, prepare for, and ultimately launch the October 7 attacks. There's more and more evidence mounting that these attacks were in preparation probably for around 2 years. And so this is not a kind of reflexive response to some event that happened last month, 2 months ago, even a year ago. I think it is a strategic decision by Hamas, and that strategic decision has, as the question implies, a domestic political contest. There is obviously a long-time rivalry between Hamas and the Palestine Liberation Organization centered around the Fatah party, Yasser Arafat's party. It's basically, if you will, the governing party of the Palestinian Authority. And that rivalry is part of the context in which Hamas decided to do this. I tend to think, though, it's not the main domestic factor. It's certainly not the only domestic factor. I don't think it's even the main domestic factor. I say that because, frankly, the PLO, Fatah, become just less and less relevant to any kind of meaningful political future for Palestinians. Fatah and the PLO are basically saddled with an agenda, this idea of a US brokered two-state settlement to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And it's an agenda that's not just dead in the water, it's dead. You know, if there ever were a time when you might have been able to reach a negotiated two-state outcome to this conflict, those days are long gone. Palestinians know it, people in the region know it, and it's why the PLO and Fatah, I think, are just more and more marginal, both for Palestinians and for other regional players. Besides the rivalry with Hamas, I think you also have to just understand that since Israel formally withdrew from Gaza in 2005, it has imposed conditions on Gaza that, as some commentators put it, make Gaza the world's biggest open-air prison. And I think you need to pay a lot of attention to the depth of the desperation that Palestinians who live in Gaza feel, the anger that they feel, and the sense that the world is just passing them by. And in that context, just ponder with me for a moment Hamas's name. It is, of course, an acronym in Arabic for the group's full name, Harakat al-Muqawama al-Islamiyya, Movement of the Islamic Resistance. In a great piece of good fortune for branding, Hamas is also the Arabic word for zeal. And so here you have this movement, Hamas, this religiously grounded, full of zeal, resistance movement that is governing in Gaza. And as conditions get worse and worse, as the level of attention paid to the Palestinian issue gets less and less, as the desperation of Gazans gets deeper, as the anger of Gazans gets deeper. You know, if this movement, Hamas, the Islamic resistance movement, can't mount resistance to the conditions in which Gazans find themselves, if it can't mount resistance to that, what is its raison d'etre? What's its purpose? What's its role? What's its function? And I think Hamas took a strategic decision 2 to 3 years ago that it was going to prepare an attack on a scale like it had never operated before. And it was going to use this attack to basically to show Palestinians in Gaza, Palestinians elsewhere, people in the region, and people around the world that you can't forget about this issue, you can't marginalize it, and just move on with the rest of your life, as it were. I think that's another really important piece of the domestic context for this decision. It's about Hamas validating itself.
Thank you, Professor Leverett.